you, thank you. So I'm the power in today's conversation. And the first thing I want to say to you is, in order for you to live in your power, you have to be a leader in your own life. Did y'all hear that? Y'all heard Neely talk earlier about the value, leadership. And one of the challenges we have is we just let the day unfold. We do not commit to being leaders in our own lives. So, I am from Richmond, Kentucky. Yeah, right down the road. Usually when I start out, I say I'm a small town girl, but you guys know Richmond. But about 15, I guess I was about 14 or 15, I had this dream that I wanted to work in the music industry. Now, let me put a little framework around that. At that time, there was no music industry in Atlanta. There was no Google. There was no cell phone. So when I was telling my friends and family that I wanted to work in the music industry and I wanted to live in Atlanta, this was pretty much saying that I wanted to build hotels on Mars, right? That's how realistic it was. But fast forward about 8 years later, a whole lot of no's, a whole lot of prayer, a whole lot of pressing. I ended up working in the music industry. I ended up at LaFace Records, and I was responsible for the marketing of Toni Braxton, TLC, Outkast. I was traveling the world. I had this six-figure income in my mid-20s. I had an amazing job. I had friends and family that I loved. I loved my coworkers. I loved the artists I worked with, and I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. Now, here I was blessed to work with some of the most influential people in the world, in sports, in academia, in politics. I mean, I had these amazing networks. And what I realized was what was happening to me is what happens to many successful people, many people of high achievement, many people that are working hard every day, is that our skill and talent can take us to levels of success that our character cannot sustain. Did y'all hear that? Our skills and talents can take us to levels of success that our character can't sustain. Because the challenge is we forget about the most critical piece of living in your power, and that's our personal growth. We're so committed to IT and diversity and computer training and social skills, and all that's very important. But the key to all of it is our personal development, to the point that John Maxwell, how many of you are familiar with John Maxwell? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. John Maxwell is the #1 leadership expert in the world. He's written over, at this point, I think it's about 117 books. He's sold over 40 million books, the #1 leadership expert in the world. But John recognizes the key to leadership is our personal development. And I was so honored that his latest book, Leadership, New York Times bestseller, he actually featured an excerpt from my book about personal development in his book about leadership. That's how key personal development is.